Hey everybody, Tom Lenfesti here again. The question comes up a lot of times, almost as, a challenge question. Not as much, now as it did maybe 10 years ago, but overall the question comes up of, do law firms really have value? Or more importantly, we get the question from owners of law firm of, does my law firm have value? And the answer that we usually give, or I give, is always yes. If clients are coming in, if the phone is ringing, if emails keep coming in, if work's there, your law firm has value. Now again, if you've shut it down, maybe you're just collecting some, past payments or anything else, or you've really wound it down and slowed it down to a certain minimal level, your value may be diminished. It may be less, but you still have value to transfer if you want to go through that different process and find somebody as a successor or otherwise. So law firms, I would say, most all have value, unless you've really shut it down, closed it down almost to nothing. It's just the amount of that. But the real question is, what makes up that value? And what I really talk about with attorneys is, law firms are different than other businesses. And so when we look at that difference, we look at, what makes up value of a business typically is, what we would call goodwill, right? It's the brand of that business, the name on the door, the website, the marketing, the customers they have, all of these different things. So if you know of a restaurant that you go to all the time, it may be because of certain, waiters or waitresses or servers or bartenders or any of those different things. But a lot of times it's because the whole experience, right? So that's essentially what we would label as, law firm value. It's that entity attached to the firm is you understand the brand. Past clients know the name of your firm. They know the phone number. They know the website. The marketing plans that you do for the firm all go into that value. The trained team that you have, right? You've spent years hopefully training those, building systems and process. All of that goes into the firm value. So, for a law firm, that entity value, similar to other businesses, are usually there. Depends on the firm. Some have more, some have less. But overall, that's definitely a key element. The other piece, and what we see and most typical for, most small, medium-sized firms or law practices, is what we would call individual value of the attorney. So if you're an attorney that's built a practice, built a firm over years, you have a lot of personal relationships. You have relationships with referral sources, community partners, clients, right? All of these people that know you versus just knowing the firm, right? And when they may refer or tell somebody how great you are, they're telling them about you personally. They're not telling them about the firm. And that's very common for lawyers, right? Networking, referral sources, that is the way that lawyers for the longest time have built their practices. Now, again, there's other value attached to the firm, but the key is to focus in on that personal value as well. We talk a lot in other videos on the transition plan that a seller must do. That is all purposeful and intentional to be able to transfer that value, that personal value that you have as an individual attorney. Or if you're a buyer going into a practice and you look at what the seller has done to build this and what they continue to do, those relationships under the seller transition plan need to be effectively transferred over time. Seller will stick with you under the model. They'll be there to kind of make those warm introductions, to make sure they transfer and transition well, to share the knowledge that they've built over the time, to make sure that they can transfer the personal value that they have. If you put personal value and that law firm value together, you've got a complete picture. You've got a complete package of what can be transferred. And usually that's the way to maximize value for a seller. If you're looking to monetize and exit and sell your practice, you have to focus on the personal side as well as the firm side. You can't just throw the keys to a buyer and hope for the best. And for you, the buyers, you really have to look at it and say, look, I need seller's involvement and to really have an actionable transition plan to make sure that, that can happen. And you're comfortable with that prior to any purchase to make sure that it can be successful. Because again, it's about continuation of what that seller has done. And if you lose that value in those relationships that they had, you're going to see a loss in revenue. So focusing on the personal value and the entity value gets you the complete picture for a law firm.